Hey everyone, my name is Matt. Welcome to my backyard and welcome back to the series on building my new log trailer. So if it's your first time here, I'll leave you a link to a playlist that contains all the videos that go along with this build so you can easily navigate between them all. Now last time we talked about all of the introduction stuff, talked about the design a little bit, talked about the current trailer, what I do like about it, and I'll be carrying forward to the new one, and the things that I don't like, which I'll be improving on the new version. Now this time we're going to get started on the actual build. We're going to start building the trailer frame itself. And as we're getting started, I just want to say a big thank you to Dollar Shave Club for sponsoring this video. I'll tell you more about Dollar Shave Club later on in this video. So I'm going to start unloading all of the steel. This is all the steel for the trailer bed, as well as the arch, the tongue, and I also have the plate steel, which will become the deck of the trailer as well. So pretty much everything I'm going to need is right here, right now, or at least the bigger stuff is. The outside of the frame is going to be made from 2x6 tube with a 1/4 inch wall thickness. This is exactly the same stuff that I used to build the bed of my sawmill. And it's been about 3 years since I built that, so I'm about to have a rude awakening and remember just how heavy these things are. Now the nice thing about this is I don't have to drill and tap a bunch of holes in them first. I can just get them all prepped, get them kind of assembled and ready to go, and kind of go from there. Now, one thing that I didn't have back when I built my bandsaw mill, which I do have now, is a nice big flat welding table area. So luckily now I have the sawmill bed, which I can use as basically a big welding table. I can rig up all of these things on that platform. I have a nice flat space to work, and I'll make sure my trailer frame also ends up flat as well, because I can reference my entire trailer off of the bed of my sawmill, which is super nice. One other commonality you may have noticed between this build and my sawmill build is that I have all my steel parts already pre-cut for me. So for this bigger stuff, because it's so heavy and awkward, I find it's just way more convenient to have my steel dealer do all of my cuts for me, especially on this big stuff. That way I can just unload, assemble everything, and get to welding instead of spending a bunch of time trying to figure out how to cut a miter on the end of a 20-foot long piece of steel which weighs 400 pounds. Doesn't seem like a really fun thing to do. The steel dealer has all the big saws, the big equipment and everything to make all these cuts for me, make them all accurately, so it's one less thing I have to worry about, and it just makes the process of getting started a lot faster and of course a lot easier. So the trailer frame is all laid out and it's looking pretty darn good. I'm pretty happy with the way things are progressing. This setup with using the sawmill bed is quite nice. So the one part I don't have in here right now is the back of the trailer, which is this piece here. That's going to be angled, I guess, in this direction because we're upside down right now. So I will put that in later on. I'll have to kind of rig that up in an interesting way. But at this point, it's time to get this assembly at least welded a little bit. So I'll be going through and doing some decent sized welds with the MIG welder, and then I'll come back and do the full-on welds with the stick. There's not a reason why you couldn't weld this whole thing with MIG, but I am way more confident in my stick welding ability than in my MIG welding ability. So there's that. The other thing is I don't get to weld super often, and I found that I don't really enjoy MIG welding nearly as much as I enjoy stick welding. With MIG welding, you're just kind of sitting there pulling a trigger. You're not really doing a whole lot. With stick welding, there's a little more of a dance to it with the motion of the electrode and what's going on there. So because I don't get to weld super often, I'm going to weld whichever way is most enjoyable to me, and it has a side benefit of me being a little more confident in my ability. While I'm getting this frame all tacked together and all those flat seams welded up, let me tell you a little bit about the sponsor of this video, Dollar Shave Club. So it's been several years since I've been clean shaven. Normally what I do is just hack at the beard and leave some stubble and move on with my life, but there's not a whole lot of elegance in that. Now Dollar Shave Club has you covered for all of your grooming needs, be that shower, oral, deodorant, and yes, even shaving.
So let's get ready for an incredible smooth shave with their shave starter set. The starter set comes with their executive handle, which is quite weighty and nice, and a pair of their 6-blade blades. It also comes with a 3-ounce tube of Dr. Carver shave butter, which is transparent for more precise shave. It helps prevent ingrown hairs and it fights razor bumps. For a limited time, new members get their first month of the executive razor with a tube of Dr. Carver shave butter for only $5. After that, the restock box ships regular sized products at the regular price. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/Cremona to get your first starter set for just $5. And don't worry, if you are missing my beard, it will be back in the next scene due to some classic continuity error. So, thank you again, Dollar Shave Club, for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to the build. So that takes care of the initial welding. All of the pieces of the C-channel have a solid weld along the top here, as well as the inside bottom there. So I'm going to get some of the stuff cleared out, get these clamps off of here, and take care of the last cross member that goes in the front there. That was inaccessible due to the corner clamps earlier. So I'm going to try and scoot this frame around a little bit, get it more on top of the sawmill bed, drop in that piece of C-channel, and get it welded just like all of the other ones. And then from there, you can start putting in the back, which should be kind of interesting because we're upside down, and I have to make sure I put it in at the correct angle so it's not upside down. Okay, that takes care of that for now. Let's grab the parts for the tongue and get those kind of laid out a little bit. So next we're going to get the tongue installed. But before we get going on this, let's talk a little bit about tongues and this whole setup right here. So the first little thing to keep in mind with the tongue is the overall length. So that's going to be the distance from the trailer frame to the center of the coupler. On my current trailer, that is 52 inches, and the general guidance for that is that the overall length of the tongue needs to be at least half of the width of your tow vehicle, so you can use that to kind of get an idea for it. So technically a 48-inch tongue would be fine for my truck, but a little bit longer length gives you a little bit more maneuverability back here, and it'll buy me a little more space up here in the tongue area. So I'm going to go with exactly the same tongue length that I have on my current trailer, 52 inches. So to figure out how far these things have to stick out, I need to know how much my coupler and the channel is going to add to that length. So this is 8 inches from the center of the coupler to the back of this channel. So I can take that off of my 52 inches, which leaves me with 46 inches that these guys need to protrude past the front of the trailer. Now what would be really nice to know and make this a lot easier would be to know what is the exact distance these things need to be apart from each other right as they enter the trailer. And lucky for us, we have math. More specifically, we have trigonometry. So I'm going to use this as an excuse to warm up a bit in the shop here. Let's talk a little bit about how to figure out how much distance we need. It's actually pretty darn simple. So on the front side of the trailer, we have the two tongue pieces, and then we have the front frame of the trailer. Now a standard tongue angle is going to be 50 degrees. So this would be 50 degrees. And then we know we want this distance here to be 46. So I want to make myself a guide which hooks onto the inside of this front piece. So I want to know the distance this thing needs to be apart, actually back in here. So 2 inches longer than 46. So I want it to be at 48. If you look at this, we have, oh, it's a triangle. So if we bring this triangle over here, we have this kind of setup right here. So we have half of this because we bisected that. So this is going to be 25 degrees. This leg is now 48. That's going to take us to the inside of the front of the frame. And what we really want to know is this dimension right here. So when I was in high school, I was taught this funny phrase to remember which of the trigonometric functions go with what parts of the triangle. So it says SOHCAHTOA. So sine goes with the opposite and the hypotenuse. Cosine is the adjacent and the hypotenuse. And tangent is the opposite and adjacent. So here is our angle. We have the adjacent and we want to know the opposite. So we're going to use tan or tangent. So tan 25 degrees would equals the opposite over adjacent. So we're x or a question mark over 48. So this is actually pretty easy just to drop into our calculators. And what's funny about this is I got to turn my phone this way. So with my calculator in degree mode, 25 tan times 48 gives us 22.38. For each half of this, multiply that by 2. That gives us the total length from here to here. It's going to be 44.76. So big thank you to my 10th grade geometry teacher. Thank you, Miss Simon, for teaching me SOHCAHTOA. What's kind of funny about this is I'm pretty sure this is the first time in my adult life that I've used this. But it's just cool to finally see the things that I learned, I don't know how long ago that was, 15, 16, 17 years ago, kind of coming around to being useful in life. So I'm going to go ahead and make a quick guide to make this super easy. I have a piece of MDF that I can cut at the right angle, and then I can put a little fence on the back so this thing will hook onto the inside of that trailer frame, and I'll be able to position those tongue rails exactly where they need to be. So I have a center line here on the trailer frame, and then this kerf that I cut in here is exactly in the center of this thing. So I should be able to just clamp this thing in place on top of that center line, and this will give me an alignment aid so I can butt up those tongue pieces directly to it. First I'll use my famous butt clamp. It's a very good one. Not a whole lot of clamping strength, but does work in a pinch for some awkward positions. Nice. Okay. So now in theory, when I bring over these tongue members, as I slide them forward and they touch, they should stop at 46 inches from the front of the trailer frame. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Well, that's the 16th off, so there's still a little gap there, so these things will probably slide forward a little further, but that is pretty much right where I want them to be. I like when math works. So now I need to know where on the tongue pieces I need to make the cuts so these will bend back over on themselves. So that's pretty easy to do with everything laid out here. All I have to do is just transfer the face of this onto here where they intersect, so I can do it with a square, just butt it up against the tongue piece, and that'll be the exact point where I can start having the intersection of these cut to allow this thing to fold over onto itself. So at this point, the tongue is all prepped and ready to go on. It should be lined up really well with this alignment jig, but there is the possibility this thing is off center a little bit, or it's kind of angled to one side or the other. So I can verify that pretty easily with a simple string here, which is here at the center, which should be the center line of the trailer. The center line of the tongue should match the center line of this front piece here where this kerf is, and it should hit the center line at the back of the trailer as well. So as I pull this string taut, as it comes over the center line of the back of the trailer, it should pass directly over that kerf up there. And it looks like it is pretty darn good. So I'm happy with that, so that means it is tack time. Tack, tack, tack. Tacking with MIG is almost cheating. Okay, let's see about bending this thing. Well, daylight saving has ended here in Minneapolis this year. It's 5 o'clock and it's pretty darn dark. So I'm gonna leave it like this and pick up with it in the morning. All right, so next day, let's get this thing finished up. It's already afternoon and I think every day I've been out here this week has been getting colder and colder. It's currently 30 degrees out today. And I think it's as hot as it's gonna get. Let's get some welds going so I can stay warm. So when I cut these, I made the kerf out here a little wide and I kind of biased it a little bit bigger so I had an opening here as they came together. I didn't want these things to close up before this piece came all the way over. And the opening here allows me to get my electrode in here and actually weld the seam on the bottom here, which will connect both these back together as well as connect it down to the trailer frame. I figure this connection down here is probably pretty important since it's right there up against the trailer, and then the rest of this we can patch pretty easily. So I'll go ahead and weld the bottom seam back together. I'll patch the top, and then the long seam we can do when this thing is up on its side. So I think that's going to do it for this one. A lot of great progress this time. It's kind of fun how quickly this stuff kind of comes together and becomes something pretty big. It's one of the things I like about this type of stuff. So next time we'll keep going. We'll get the tongue finished up by adding the coupler mount. We'll add the blocking down the center of the frame. We'll also get the axle mounts on there as well, or the hangers, I guess, the more technical term. So that's where this thing is going. I am pretty darn exciting. So thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments on the trailer build, the sawmill, anything back in the shop, please feel free to leave me a comment. I was gonna be cool and whip my glasses off, but it didn't work. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have, and until next time, happy woodworking.